Yo, what up, everybody? This is another iteration of the asking hard question or answering hard questions from ChatGPT because I just want to keep this content going. I want to keep grinding. I'm not feeling the best today. I'm kind of tired, but I just want to keep staying consistent, and I just want to stay with the content. Even if it's not the best, I'm still going to try my best to try to be entertaining. Please, please enjoy. Yo, what up? Intro edit 2. So this type of content, if anybody's here, just if I have you for a couple seconds, this type of content is just like to listen to. I mean, it's not meant to be serious, but I feel like if you were like in the car and you needed something to listen to, just listening to me ramble on about random topics and stuff like that, this would be good for that. Or like, I don't know, if you're just like busy playing RuneScape or busy doing something else, that's when I would listen to this type of thing. Other than that, it's not much more than that. So if you don't watch it or if you don't like it, whatever, that's fine. I was just like, disclaimer. All right, continue. So I said, can you ask me 20 hard questions? ChatGPT very kindly said, certainly. Here's a set of 20 challenging questions and cover a broad range of topics. Okay, so then question number 1 is AGI. How can we ensure the safe development of artificial general intelligence to avoid existential risks to humanity? Well, I think like a lot of the heads of the AI institutions right now are currently preemptively what is that called? Proactively asking the government to regulate AGI or regulate AI before we get too far and hit a cataclysmic event like a like a Skynet situation, a Terminator situation. The thing is, though, like with this question, I've grappled with this already. Like AI, ever since like ChatGPT has hit the scene, I have been thinking about AI doomer gloom, black pill. I've been like white pilled about it. I've been like all pills about it because like AI on one hand is a super technology that will give us like infinite possibilities, infinite, it'll give us Star Trek, it'll give us Star Wars, it'll give us like interstellar esque type things where we're like, we're space colonies, Gundam, blah blah blah, all these like future things, and one of my biggest dreams is to go to space and like just see the universe and see how everything actually is instead of just sitting here looking at it. But like on the other hand, we have like so many conflicting interests in the world with like, let's say, I'm not like, I have nothing against anybody, but China doesn't like us that much and we don't like China that much, and Russia doesn't like us and we don't like Russia, and we have all these like people and we just can't like get along. It seems like there's like a constantly, the news cycle is constantly just like telling us about all this like tension and all this tension and these political adversaries and tension and friction between blah blah blah, friction in the Middle East, friction in the blah blah blah, and we're just constantly like at odds with each other and we just can't like get along at all. So then like AGI, like moving forward, so I guess what I'm saying of this with this tangent is that like if we overregulate and then like slow our progression here, like I've heard about sketchy things other countries do all the time. Like if we don't like advance our technology or like put the brakes on it too hard, and another country like beats us to something else, I mean, isn't that like the same argument they made about like Iran getting nuclear weapons or something like that? Like, or we're scared that like terrorists might get their hands on nuclear weapons. That's why we got to have like 100 times stronger nuclear weapons than everybody else in the world, just so we can like kind of world police everybody because of whatever reason. I don't know. Like that's kind of where I'm at. It's tough. Like, do we? It's a tough one to grapple. I still think about it every day, and it's like way beyond me. But I mean, I would just say like, let's step on the gas and just do our best. And if humanity gets wiped out, it gets wiped out because just the risk is too great that like somebody horrible can get their hands on it first. You know what I mean? That's kind of just where I'm at. I mean, that's kind of a crazy take. I understand, but that's just where I'm at. So then, question number 2, bioethics. Should genetic modification in humans be allowed for enhancements like increased intelligence or physical ability beyond medical necessity? Yeah, I think so. I mean, why shouldn't it? I mean, there's like, if it's my body, my choice. You know what I mean? Like, if that can be used as like, is it the main argument for abortion? Why couldn't we just expand that to be for things that have nothing? I mean, that leaks into like drugs and stuff like that, and how probably drugs shouldn't be illegal. Like, and things just shouldn't be illegal that are only to do with you in the first place. That's just another hot take, I guess. But that just answers that question. That one's a pretty simple one. So then we got quantum mechanics number 3. How might the strange principles of quantum mechanics like entanglement and superposition be harnessed in future technologies? I have no idea. This one, I can't bullshit my way through that one. I know nothing about quantum mechanics, nor do I really care. It'd be interesting to learn about in the future, but I cannot answer that question, and I don't want to like try to bullshit my way through something like that. So I'll just move on. So boom, 2 out of 3. Just mark me down. I only got 2 points. I'm going for 20, or I'm going for 19 now. So then we got number 4, economic redistribution. What are the most effective and ethical ways to redistribute wealth in an increasingly polarized economic systems? What are the most effective and ethical ways? Well, okay, so most effective and ethical ways to redistribute wealth in an increasingly polarized. Well, I would just set up like deregulate business for like average people and use tax dollar. Okay, just for instance, use tax dollars to educate children on how to become entrepreneurs, and maybe use like just promote like small scale factories, promote small scale agriculture systems, promote small scale things, and just like promote things for kids instead of like just I don't know what we promote. Like we promote kids to go to college and become like really good slaves, essentially, like really good servants. Like there's like there's really good fields to get into, like the I'm assuming like healthcare, and there's like business. What is it called? Where you like manage people's money, like that type of stuff. Like that stuff's cool. Like hedge fund managers and stuff like that. Like I'm sure those people like crap ton of money, but still at the end of the day, those are just jobs. Like if you encourage people to like open up shops and like or manufacture parts in their basement with like 3D printers or something like that, or just like even to get like large scale machines but scale them down to like a basement size stuff, or change the way we like zone areas, like where you're allowed to like open up a factory in your basement but you can't because it's zoned residential, so you're not allowed to operate, like stuff like that. Like if we encouraged people to be, if it just made it easier, like lowered the barriers of entry to get into business in the first place, like that would be one of the best ways to redistribute wealth and increase in this system, because like the more people that are like producing on their own and under their own brand and stuff like that, it's only going to increase the wealth, you know what I mean? Because like it increases competition, costs of goods go down, so the consumer wins, and then also the producers win because there'd be more producers producing like these multi like. So the reason why it's not that big of a deal if like sole entrepreneur small scale factories made less money is because they don't need as much money. Most people, from what I understand, or at least from my perspective, don't need a lot of money to like be happy. Like I made $60K last year, and I have a lot of things. I'm really happy with what I have, and I could use a few more things, but I'm not gonna freaking cry about it if I don't get my way. Like if I made a little bit more money, that'd be cool, and I do a little bit more, but I'm happy with what I got. And most people I feel would be happy with what they got. I think like where we're at in the country right now is just most people can't afford the basic fun things. I'm not saying like the basic necessities. The basic necessities are easy to come by in our country. I'm talking about like basic fun things. Like they're just grinding at their job where they hate everybody and everybody hates them to make ends meet. So then there's nothing to look forward to. So then why would you want to do anything? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, we have a biological function to survive, but not to thrive. Not to thrive. Not to like be. No fun. There's no, like, you don't play games that aren't fun, so why would you want to live life if it's not fun? You know what I mean? It's the same thing. That's why we play games, because they're fun. And life is pretty much a game. So, we should want to have fun too. So, like that's a really long answer for that one question, so I'll just move on before I just get way too off topic. Number 5 is consciousness. What is consciousness, and does it extend beyond humans to animals or potentially AI? Spooky question, spooky. You hit me with a spooky one. So what is consciousness? Consciousness would be like what a human experience is, I guess. And I'm sure animals have consciousness. I think animals probably have consciousness, and I'm pretty sure that AI will probably emerge with some sort of consciousness that like would constitute life. Like if it starts making decisions like we make decisions, and it can make decisions of like a semblance of free will, then I'm I don't know. That's getting really weird. But I would probably say, yeah. I think okay. So the way I see life is, and this is kind of like my schizo take, I'd say, is that our conscience, like what the human conscience is, or what consciousnesses are, is like, you know how there's like the fourth dimension. So there's so many things to like life we don't understand. And pretty much how I see the way I frame everything is that like we have a body, our bodies have brains, and our brains like tether. They like pull in whatever our consciousness into our existence. And that's kind of how it's super weird. The reason why it makes sense to me kind of is because like you have your first memory, and you know, like babies and stuff, like you don't remember being a baby, but like you have your first memory. So it's like, to me, like you could like this is kind of like a sci-fi show. This would be sounds like something to like an anime or something like that, like where like people. So this sounds like an anime, but like your body as it grows, then it starts to develop the parts of your brain which pull a consciousness that's like waiting in a queue in the fourth dimension, the spirit world, spirit realm. But that's kind of so like, I mean, like if you can meet those conditions in like an AI, so I mean AI is just a server, so it's just a bunch of matter put together and arranged a certain way to make AI. So I mean, like I think that like people are essentially that same thing too. We're just a bunch of matter arranged in a certain way to make people, you know what I mean? So it's not like in the realm of impossibility that like other things could form consciousness or something like that. Or if you are in the camp where you believe in aliens would be like other forms of consciousness. Plus, like, if we look in the animal kingdom, like dolphins are supposed to be like super intelligent, and elephants, they have like the ability to love or something like that, and never forgetting and all that other stuff. And there's just like there's infinite numbers of possibilities with consciousness. We just have no way to like really perceive or measure it, I guess. Or at least I'm ignorant of anything like that, like the data or any science on anything like that. It's just how I see it, and it's those are just thoughts for fun. Like none of that is any proof or anything like that. Like it's just an opinion. So yeah, just like take everything that I said just right there with a grain of salt. It's just the way I think about it, and it kind of works. So it kind of like it just kind of works. So I just go with it. You know what I mean? Next question is global governance. Is a form of global governance feasible or desirable to address international issues like climate change and pandemics? Yes, I think we need a global government, more or less. I know that's like a super hot take because nobody likes globalists or something like that, and there's all those conspiracies about globalism and stuff like that. But I feel like personally we need one if we ever would go into space. I don't think I guess technically we wouldn't, but I feel like it would make it a lot easier to like organize humanity because like nobody. If you've seen Gundam, you know how it's going to go down. There's going to be like the Earth Federation, and then there's going to be like the Zion in space or whatever, you know, the space colonists that are being oppressed or something like that. And then there's going to be, you know, Gundam. Mobile Suit Gundam's just going to happen IRL. So I mean, we need that globalism. Essentially, we need it. So, is it desirable to address international issues like climate change and pandemics? I mean, I think it's necessary to address a lot more issues than that. I feel like there'd be a lot less large conflicts if there was a global government. I mean, like we wouldn't really be going to war. I mean, we'd be at risk of like a tyrannical government, and I guess there would be like infighting and stuff like that still. But I don't know. I just feel like if we had a global government, and we like did like some sort of representative democracy or something like that, then we could solve things more politically instead of with violence. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of things wrong with the world, but war is like the top of the list of things that are really, really bad. I mean, we take people out of the game. Man, it's just horrible things. Plus, like with like a global government, we'd be able to tackle a lot of big issues like organized crime and like I don't know, just like knock out these huge gangs in the world, like the cartels and terrorist groups or whatever, all these like different little militant groups that are just like running through like they're running through the small villages and stuff and just like making people live in terror. Just like it's just horrible stuff, just horrible things. And I think a global governance would be able to help with that a lot more. Just like, I mean, there's pros and cons to everything. I'm willing to talk about that, but I'm just saying like just from this perspective, I guess. Yeah, it would be a decent. It's something. It's worth discussing, obviously. So then number 7 would be cyber warfare. In an era of increasing cyber threats, what measures should nations take to protect the digital infrastructure while maintaining citizens' privacy? Well, okay, this is a good. I've been actually I've been thinking about this a little bit actually. I don't think so. The best way to maintain citizens' privacy while also like monitoring them at the same time, I think it is good that we're getting like AGI and AI and stuff like that, because I think people are only worried about privacy because they're afraid of like what other people are going to do with it. But like we had like layers of AI in between us and like an AGI that could monitor people for us instead. Like I feel like people would be a lot more comfortable with. I'd be a lot more comfortable with that because I don't care if like an AI. I mean, obviously if it's like programmed to be a meanie bully, a mini butt, I would care a lot. But if it's just like an AI, a computer watching me, it's just the same thing as like a CCTV watching me at the freaking gas station. Like I'm not going to steal stuff, but I understand why you're there. You know what I mean? So I feel like it'd be the same thing with like AGI monitoring us or something along the lines of that. Like it wouldn't be that big of a deal as long as like nobody's using it to like bully you or ostracize you from the group or like threaten to take your livelihood away just on a whim. You know what I mean? Like people, I feel like people are just I feel like that fear, that obsession with privacy and wanting privacy is because we understand on some level fundamentally that like people will just do fucked up stuff or screwed up stuff for like no reason. You know what I mean? And that's scary. So yeah, we want to keep private because we just want to like stay hidden from other people, since people are like the most judgmental things ever. You know what I mean? So yeah. So do everything to protect the digital infrastructure. And then like when it comes to citizens' privacy, just develop really fancy AGI to monitor us, and then let us know if something needs to be addressed, and then have like different levels and codes, and certain people who pass like a high class test that just you just really limit the amount of people who actually get to like peer into data or something along the lines of that. Or I'm sure that could be solved in some sort of like debate in our political system. But yeah, that's kind of like my quick take. My quick take. I need some water quick. Number 8. Ethics of space colonization. What ethical considerations should guide human colonization of other planets? I don't know. What ethical considerations? Well, what ethical... I don't think there really needs to be any ethical considerations, except for that we should be just trying to like protect life, and if like we colonize another planet or something like that, we just make sure we support the frontiersmen that do it, and we don't just like leave them out to dry, and we still just support them and just treat them right, and revere them for taking the risks of like trying to colonize Mars and stuff like that. I mean, just that'd probably be the best way to go about that. Then number 9, UBI. Is universal basic income a sustainable option to job displacement due to automation? And how should it be implemented? UBI, Tough question. Is it a sustainable solution to job displacement due to automation? Well, you could just do like some sort of like... I mean, it's like, okay, I'm just going to take RuneScape. Like RuneScape, they kind of like spoon feed you gold to start off with and stuff like that. And everything on RuneScape is technically pretty much automated. So how... I think you can just like... The government could just like... Yeah, issue credits to people, or I don't know, like with taxes, just provide basic necessities with tax dollars, I guess. I mean, if we increase, say... If we automate everything, okay. Actually, that just brings up a really good point. If we have so much job displacement through automation, can you not recognize how cheap everything would just be? If everything was so automated that we couldn't find jobs, wouldn't everything like be virtually worthless then? I mean, like there'd be like new levels of things that would be valuable, but the things like the baseline stuff like food, shelter, like raw materials and stuff like that would be like dirt cheap. If we could automate every job that people are required for right now, everything would be dirt cheap. If a machine could just do it, we could just like snap our fingers and just wait 20 seconds and a freaking house worth of 2x4s come out of a freaking 2x4 factory that's completely automated. Like, you can't tell me that everything wouldn't be super, super cheap. So UBI might not even be necessary. And if you still wanted to try to implement it, it would be sustainable because everything would be so cheap, so it wouldn't cost that much for the government to pay out money to its people just to keep them alive. You could just have food stamps, but just a cash card and whatever. People. Okay. Quick tangent. If people like misuse the food cards or whatever, who cares, man? Like the fact that, oh man, it's so stupid. I think that's such a stupid take, like to just like rag poor people because they're buying Red Bulls or something with the poor people food. Like, whatever. You know what I mean? Their lives are rough enough that they have to get a food card in the first place, and it costs like virtually nothing for us to like fund food share. Like, yeah, when you're talking about stuff like universal healthcare, that's where like stuff gets super pricey. But when it comes down to food and like basic necessities like that, it's not that much money. So just like find some other things to complain about. Okay, tangent over. Let's move on. Number 10, derp learning and AI bias. How can we mitigate biases in AI and ensure that deep learning algorithms are fair and equitable? How can we mitigate biases in AI? Well, I would have to look into that personally, but biases in AI, wouldn't you just mitigate it by biasing them towards things that we want, like bias towards the truth, bias towards a particular outcome, bias towards goodness, bias towards this and that? I mean, I think OpenAI is already doing that, since most of these questions are about ethics and moral stances. I'm pretty sure this is already biased towards something that we already want, and I mean, like, it's giving me answers that are pretty reasonable. I mean, nothing like crazy weird. It would be, we would just make sure we're not biasing it towards like crime or biasing it towards exploitation or biasing towards that. You know what I mean? Deep learning algorithms are fair and equitable. Well, what I've seen with ChatGPT, I've had like over 1,000 conversations with you. So I mean, like, or with this things, and it's pretty fair and equitable. Like, you pay $20 and you get a really high end large language model. So I mean, like, yeah, that seems pretty good to go. I think that one's already solved, buddy. Climate engineering. Should humanity invest in large-scale climate engineering projects to combat global warming? What are the potential risks? Yeah, I think we should. I think there's I'm sure the data is good enough that we need to reduce carbon in the atmosphere and stuff like that because the global or greenhouse gases. And us, yeah, I understand, like, we have so much people on the planet now that, I mean, like, just from a layman's point of view, I could totally conceptualize activity on the earth causing like negative outcomes for life, because like greenhouse the simple basic mechanics, the greenhouse gases from us burning like carbon and stuff like that, just at an unnatural rate, quote unquote. I could totally buy that. So I mean, like, yeah, we should invest. I believe at the end of the day, there's probably economic incentives to entrepreneurs that would probably take care of this. So I think that will happen. I mean, I've had some ideas of how to get rid of like carbon. I think like turning everything into charcoal and then like sequestering it into the soil with biochar is probably like one of the highest value projects that we can do that would be profitable, because like from the studies, from the YouTube videos of people's farms where they invest in biochar and just like prime it and keep the nutrients high in the soil because of the biochar having such a large surface area and nutrient retention and all this. And then the terra preta or whatever it's called in the Amazon, how like the Amazon people used to like maintain the forest. And I don't know where I heard it from, but the Amazon rainforest, I guess, was tended by tribes for so long doing this biochar method that it became such a massive I'm probably super wrong there, but I could totally believe that if that's true, is that like biochar, I mean, biochar is insane. And like, it's such a simple way. It's like a win-win, you know, like we pump the ground full of nutrients and we increase our growing capacity like crazy. And like carbon just has so many uses anyway. So I think we are economically incentivized, should be economically incentivized to pull all as many carbon out of the air as possible and fight greenhouse gases and stuff like that. So yeah, I think the potential risks of investing in the large-scale climate engineering projects, I think the risks are that we just do stupid things that don't make sense. That would be the only risk. It's like, does it make sense? Yes, do it. If it doesn't make sense, don't do it. That's why we have debates and stuff like that. And that's why it's very important for us to have like good faith arguments and stuff about these types of things. And like people, and like just make sure like we're not letting human's darker side lead the projects and stuff like that. That seems to be like so riddled in our politics and stuff like that. So then number 12 would be political polarization. How can societies combat increasing political polarization and the erosion of democratic norms? Being more unified. Being more, I don't want to sound like a hippie here, but being more ethical, being more moral. Just fostering more love and, rebuilding families and not pushing for being sarcastic, like not putting sarcastic bullies on pedestals in like Hollywood and stuff like that. I feel like that would be a very good way to push back. And I hopefully with my YouTube channel, actually, it's one of my goals to actually be a voice to push back against the way that our culture acts. Because this is a hot button topic, but we have a lot of really bad things that happen in our country, and it's not good. Yeah, hot take. I guess there's just so many bad things that happen in our country, and it's because we're just divided, and there's not a lot of good reasons to. I mean, that's just such a big conversation to have that I'll get to that in some other video, I'm sure. So I'll just move on. So I answered the question. So how can we combat increasing political polarization? Just being more loving. I don't know, like focus on ourselves and fix problems, or work on yourself. And even if you're people just looking at themselves and going, I think my opposing belief is stupid, but I'm going to be their friend anyway, and I'm going to say sorry for the things I've still made mistakes on, and I'm going to extend my hand out, and I'm going to be not be the better person in like a grand saying sort of way, but I'm going to extend a hand to people that I'm not cool with, and I'm gonna just rebuild society. I don't know. It all starts with us. You know what I mean? That's the answer. Nuclear energy versus renewables. What is the role of nuclear energy in the future global energy mix, considering the urgent need to reduce carbon emissions? What is the role of nuclear energy? I think fission's awesome. Fission's cool. It's super interesting. I don't know how it like pairs against like thermal energy from like burning coal and stuff like that. I actually kind of have like a hypothetical solution where we just like, I don't know. I imagine like, so we have a power plant and we stick a giant, the smokestack, and we just shove it into a giant like greenhouse. And in that giant greenhouse, we have like just a bunch of plants. I don't know. It sounds really silly now that I'm saying it out loud, but I imagine like this giant greenhouse with like a bunch of plants and stuff that just like want all that carbon right away. And then I'm sure it's like super poisonous to plants, so we couldn't necessarily do that. But can't we like? I'm sure we could build systems to just like catch the carbon as it leaves. It just wouldn't be as efficient, so the energy wouldn't be as cheap. But I mean, like, I don't know that much about energy production or what the costs go into it and what the technology is or what we can do to even, when we burn coal, to what we can do. I know there's scrubbers and stuff like that, but like I don't know much about it. I think nuclear is I think if we just manage nuclear power plants, just treat it like super high respect, like because of we got Chernobyl and then Fukushima, like we got to take it seriously. So I think it's a major role. Moral psychology is number 14. How much of our moral decision making is innate versus socially constructed? What does this mean for legal and educational systems? I think our moral decision making is innate, mostly. Socially constructed, yeah. When you say that, it sounds like to me that it's just like society is taking guesses based on innate manifestations over a large group. Yes, that makes sense. Over a large group. And then we're just like distilling that down to like basic morals to try to like govern, to set up systems, set up rules, so you set up laws and rules. And then when you call yourself a part of this system, like I'm an American, you're just like innately saying you follow a set of basic rules and guidelines, so that when you go up to somebody else and you say, "Hi, how are you, Bob?" and you're like, "Hey, Bob," or "Hi, Bob the American, I now have a basic fundamental trust of you, because I know me and you were raised in the same country with the same culture, so we can predict more or less how that person operates. And I think that's what I think. So I think like it is innate and socially constructed. I think they're both tied together. So like I would say innate, yeah. What does this mean for legal and educational systems? That they'll just constantly evolve to reflect our innate moral decisions. I guess. Yeah. Future of work. What skills will be most important for the workforce of the future as automation and AI continue to advance? Well, I made about 10 videos about this called The Traits of Success. The Traits of Success. And the most important skills will just be these very general abstract skills like perseverance, consistency, moral integrity, loyalty, humility, all these things, all these like different character traits will just make you just more like interchangeable, allow you to change when the world does. You know what I mean? Those are going to be the most important skills, but specifically the most important skills would probably be IT stuff. Just, you know, I would personally say like gaming. Honestly, at the end of the day, I would say gaming would be very just solve a bunch of problems. That's what gaming is. Just solve problems, play different games, you know, do different things, you know, get different hobbies, skills, just all the above. Get as many skills as possible, because all it does is just like pump your brain full of just different intuitions, so that like when you come onto new system or new challenges and new systems, and your intuition and your subconscious could just start popping out potential solutions based on your past experiences. So like that would be what any skills, all skills, as many skills as possible, high quality skills. Just keep getting skills out the butt. Just explore nuances and just understand things and just like explore the world. And I think that's your best chance. That's your best chance. You know what I mean? Because we don't know what's going to happen. So just try to do everything, and then hopefully you land somewhere that's like positive. Antibiotic resistance. How can the global health community address the growing threat of antibiotic resistant bacteria? Okay, kind of weird take again. Sci-fi here. Sci-fi science fiction. I think the future of medicine is going to be tiny little robots. Like once we can get microchips so small, or have AGI or AI be able to interface with tiny little robot machines, I think we're going to be able to like send them through people and then just like literally destroy, like identify and then literally destroy like bad bacteria or bad viruses and stuff like that. I think that's essentially what antibiotics are doing. They just go through and just freaking, it's like Agent Orange in Vietnam. That's what antibiotics are. And I feel like with little robots, we'll be able to go through and just like, that might be somebody's job one day, is like piloting a little robot, you know, like a drone pilot, but it's just like a little robot that goes through and kills strep throat. You know what I mean? Yeah. So number 17 is privacy in the age of big data. How can individuals protect their privacy in an age where the personal data is constantly being collected and analyzed? How can individuals... you can't just deal with it, I guess. How can individuals... You can't really protect your privacy, man. You can try. The best way to protect your privacy would just be being blameless, I guess. I don't know. Being bland and safe, and I don't really think you can anymore. Like, just look up some Edward Snowden stuff on Joe Rogan. He kind of goes into a lot of the creepy stuff that like people can do with just like basic technology. So you're not even safe. For instance, let's say you're like, you get rid of all your technology, and it's just you and your girl sitting in the house having a secret meeting about something. But the fact that you're talking, the CIA is like across the street in the house in the attic, and they're looking at your house through a telescopic like camera or something like that, something that can zoom, something with a zoom, and they're looking at the lampshade in your room. And then they can, like, if it's a high definition camera, they can slow it down and then measure the vibrations in your lampshade to then create data of the entire conversation you had just based on the vibrations in the lampshade. So I mean, like, that's, if you don't believe me, look that up. That's a real thing. They can do that. People can do that. The technology does exist to measure the vibrations from your voice. So I mean, like, unless you're gonna do sign language or, I mean, there's probably some way. Where there's a will, there's a way. They're gonna get your private data. Like, we just live in that type of world now. So you just gotta you just gotta get used to it, I guess. So I'm getting super tired, but I got 3 more, so I'm gonna try to bang these out. So we got number 18, ethics of autonomous weapons. Should the development of autonomous weapons be banned internationally, and would such a ban be enforced? Circle back to the oh man, it's like it'd be nice if a ban would work, but like, don't we need to develop these things so that we can like be on equal footing with other people who are going to develop this, no matter like whether America bans it or not? Like, we're 330 million people, bro. Like, we ain't. If we ban something, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, they're just gonna go somewhere else and get it, and like, then they're gonna have it. We're not gonna have it. I mean, if by banning, do you mean like the public? Sure, maybe that's a conversation to have. But the government should definitely be developing like really high tech weaponry just to keep up with people who don't want us to be around. You know what I mean? So number 19 would be social responsibility of tech companies. To what extent should large tech companies be held responsible for the societal impacts of their products and services? To the extent that they're responsible. If they are fostering an environment which causes a bunch of people to kill themselves or something like that, maybe not like throw them in jail, but you should hold them responsible for it, to like correct it, and to admit fault and apologize for it, and make steps to stop harm from happening to people. Like, we have a responsibility as a people to make sure that the goods and services that we're providing to other people aren't harming them. You know what I mean? Like, I know a lot of businesses don't practice that, but we do have that responsibility in the long run. And if you're, as a business, do not practice that on some level, you will go out of business. Like, people will stop doing business with you. Business is built on trust. And if you're not trustworthy, nobody's going to do business with you eventually. And if you have to do business with somebody, you have to, I guess. But as soon as another option pops up that is trustworthy, that first business that you have to do business with is no longer available. They will just go away. That is something that will happen. I will bet money on that 10 times out of 10 that what would happen to businesses that do not practice high ethical content, high ethical standards. You know what I mean? Like, customer is always right. Customer service, providing good services. We have a moral obligation as humans to take care of each other, and that's just what I believe. But I think it's true, and it's kind of hard to argue against that position, I'd imagine. Number 20, the final question, we have existential risk. What are the most significant existential risks facing humanity, and how can we mitigate them? I would say every single moment of every single day, we could just explode. So everything. That's not a good answer, though. So the answer would be the most significant existential risk: division. If we can't figure out a way to unify under one human race again, on some level, like with the birth of a country, I'm sure people are very unified to fight so hard for like their independence or to whatever, to group up. The unification when a new country emerges must be like an all-time high for that country to last. You know what I mean? But on a global scale, I think humans in general have lost their relation to each other, and we just find every excuse to just look at each other as different in some way, whether it be race or sex or nationality or religious or ideological belief or political party or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, these labels exist and they're good for labeling and like systematizing everything like that, but they're also being used to just like other people and dehumanize and demonize, and just, that's the division. If we can't, I know this is cliche and stuff, but a kingdom divided against itself can't prosper. But that, if anything in the Bible is true, it's that. I mean, that's just a true thing. That's just a truism, I guess. Like, that can be proven time and time again, and I'm pretty sure science can prove that too. You know what I mean? So I'm going to end it right there with 20. I hope that was good for everybody. I felt pretty good doing it. I'm just happy to have grinded it out and getting it done. I'm going to try to put this up tonight, kind of late. If you like this, please subscribe, or don't. Do whatever you got to do. I'm just going to keep grinding it out, keep trying to be entertaining. I'm going to keep trying to help people, I guess. So just everybody just, take it easy. Take it easy. Drink some water. Do something. Get good. And I'll talk to you guys later.